The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chatting with Jocelyn. I'm so glad you were able to join me, and my guest today is Julian, and he is running for CD1. Yep. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. I have to admit that for a couple of months I kept hearing Julian. And I'm like, who is Julian? Who's this Julian guy? And someone would say, oh, Julian's over there. And I'd be like, well, which one's Julian? And you'd be gone. Mm-hmm. So I'd never put two and two together. And then I saw you with Rayla quite a bit. And I was like, is that Julian? Nobody ever said, that's Julian.
Yep.
Or, wait a minute.
I don't
that's
like to,
Julian.
I don't like to be seen. I don't like having my pictures taken. I prefer to get the
You're not an in-the-face kind of person. But when I finally met you, it was really nice. And then we saw each other again at the Matt Gates dinner, and I met your wife.
Yes.
She's very nice.
She's an angel. I like to tell people she rebuilt me like a classic car from the ground up. She had me at my worst, and I'm a far better man than I was. So
tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then why you're running.
Well, I graduated from Timberlane in Plaistow. I was born on Royal Air Force Station, Upper Heyford, England, to two military veterans, Air Force. I have about 140 years of military service on both sides of the family. Every generation serves. So it's not just a legacy thing. Mm-hmm. It is how we're raised, warrior scholar methodology. And after graduating Timberlane, I lived off Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio for a little bit before, after my parents got off active duty, moved up here to New Hampshire. And I grew up in Atkinson, my Nana's house. And my father graduated from Timberlane, my uncles graduated from Timberlane, my aunt graduated from Timberlane.
How did they end up in England?
They got stationed over there. Okay. My mom was a medic at the time. And there were some, at the time, is early 80s, when my parents got together, there was still a few racial issues in the military. They had commanders that didn't want them to be together because there is an interracial couple. And I won't go any deeper into it than that because it was both my dad's commander and my mother's commander that had an issue with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad. So, I mean, it's, I don't know. I grew up in England and my mother's English.
Yep.
So that's probably why we ended up getting along so well. And I remember being over there, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is no color in the United Kingdom.
No, you're English.
Yeah.
You're English. I'm never adverse to people recognizing who they are. I love it. It's like I keep saying, if you're going to say that there's nothing wrong with being white, then you can't tell people that they're acting too black or that there's you're not black, you're American. The way I look at it, America is a melting pot. So I'm black, Irish, Italian, a conservative, a Republican, a United States Marine. I'm all of it.
You're a Marine?
And, yes, ma'am.
You never told me that. My son is a Marine.
It's all mutually exclusive.
I understand. It's just so funny when I'm finding out.
I should say, I'll correct myself, none of it is mutually exclusive.
Right.
Because we're a melting pot. Yeah. We're the only country in the world you get to have it all.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true.
I love it. It makes America powerful. It used to be bring the best of what you got to America and let's make the country better.
Absolutely. And we never stopped.
Yeah.
Never stopped. It was better and better and better and higher and higher, bigger achievements.
We still continue to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just, to be completely honest, we're not that divided when we walk around in daily life.
No, there's not that much separating us. There's not that much that we disagree with.
When I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, off Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, I was during a crack epidemic. And Dayton is not far above the Mason-Dixon line. We still have people who are pissed off about the Civil War. And then we still have, in the black community, we have people who make assumptions about white people being racist. And then we have white people, it's like, I assume you're racist towards me, so I'm going to hate you in return. And then white people are like, well, if you hate me, then I hate you too. And I'm like, this is just this cyclical, it never ends.
Yep.
It's going to go on in perpetuity.
High school drama.
Yeah, it is. It's high school
seriously,
drama.
it's high school drama. If you've got nothing better to do,
Exactly.
put food on the table, get a better job,
Yeah.
be nice to your fellow man, go to church, and get your kids out of the indoctrination centers that your taxes are paying for. Oh, did I
Exactly.
just get on my little rant? So, why are you running?
Well, I do political strategy. When I moved back home in 2016, I was stationed at Camp Pendleton out in California. California is completely unlivable. The cost of living goes up twice as fast as you can earn money. So I moved back home. I did DoD security on Peace Air National Guard base. And when I moved back home, I noticed Nashua and Manchester and Concord were not the nice, pristine cities that they once were, and that they were starting to go down the exact same path as Dayton and Detroit and Atlanta and New York and California, the entire state of California.
Yeah.
And I watched what transpired in 2020. Like, I voted for Eddie Edwards, super nice guy.
Yep.
And I watched what happened in 2020, and all of politics became cult of personality. And I saw people voting not based on principles or based on policy, but based on how much they liked the person or how close they were to Trump. Now, I voted for Trump twice, but Trump is a man. He's not a god.
Correct.
No matter how good he was, and he got more done than any other Republican I've had the displeasure of voting for. Because, to be honest, Trump was the first president I actually walked into that booth and I was like, all right, we're going to get some stuff done.
Yes.
I
weren't holding your nose.
Swallowed. Oh man, McCain and Romney. I held my nose so bad. I can't even believe that. Well, I can believe it because I understand how the system works. It's this guy's turn. So I don't like that.
Yep.
I don't like this guy's turn. It's
He waited
this
his
legacy.
time. Yep.
It's this person's relative. They went to the right school. They interned under the right person. They kissed the right person's ring, and now they're going to get their shot. I don't play by those rules because, as far as I'm concerned, all of that happens outside of voters getting their choice.
Correct.
If you're deciding in a back room filled with cigar smoke, and I do like cigars, and bourbon, who gets to run for office?
Well, it comes out
Then
that
you're
they
screwing
are,
the voters. So it's like, well, I get the choice between this person that they chose and that person that they
which
chose.
is not a choice.
No.
They are selecting who you are allowed to elect.
And let's be honest, I'm not a big fan of class warfare, but I will be completely honest and say continuing to elect people from the silver spoon category of society gets us nowhere when the majority of society lives below that silver spoon category.
Correct.
So they go to DC and these people lack life experience. And I don't mean age, because age doesn't equate directly to life experience. I mean real, tangible life experience.
Haven't had to work for that job.
Do you know
not
what
had
it's
to
like if you don't
beat
show
their
up
head.
to
Yep.
work, you're not going to have a meal on your table.
Correct.
Or your kids are going to go out. Do you know what it's like to skip meals so your kids can eat? Because I do.
I did it.
I know it's like
I ran
to,
my own business for 25 years, and
Yeah.
there were many times, this is a macaroni night, this is a ramen noodle night.
I know it's like to reach in the back of the cabinet and grab a can of lima beans out. I hate lima beans. I can still taste the poverty on my tongue right now. At one point, I was so broke, I got jumped by 2 rats and a cockroach, and they gave me back the lima beans because I needed it more than they did.
I no, I get it. And oh, by the way, if you spend any time in England,
Eventually, once they
Sometimes
get their
that's-
once they get their stuff together, I'll be taking the family back over because I haven't been there since I was about 3 years old.
I haven't been there since I was 13, came back, and then we went for a couple of summers because I'd go back and study there. And haven't been back since. I look at what's there, I look at what's going on, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that.
Well, they also got people fighting for their rights in their streets, and we don't.
And there's a lot of people that are fighting. I have a couple of friends that were leading those peaceful protests and learning all about that you held the law enforcement officers over there, the bobbies,
Yeah.
that when they broke the law, the citizen had the right to do a citizen's arrest and it actually counted for something.
Well, we used to have the right to citizens arrest our police. See how that works out. You're likely to be the next guy on the news that gets shot. And that's just the reality of government is not held accountable the same way citizens are.
No.
If I mess up, I can go to jail and I'll be in jail until they can get to me. Well, if you work for the government, you're not held accountable.
Correct.
And it's basically when finally somebody gets so sick of it or they just can't run away from it. That's usually what happens is, we can't run away from this issue. All right, who is the person who's most expendable in the room? Get rid of that guy. I mean, that's how it works. My issue, the real reason why I'm running is because we've lost our fight. We've lost our fight. We've lost our conviction. We talk about boots on the ground and grassroots and how the private sector provides, but we continue to ask government to solve things too. We elect people and we don't hold them accountable.
Correct.
Why the hell do we keep electing people? They get in their ivory tower and then we sit there at the bar and we go, how do we get screwed again? Well,
You keep
the guy
voting
showed
for 'em.
up and he gave you as much red meat as could fill your belly and you just sat there and you ate it and you loved it. And you went, wow, that guy told me everything I wanted to hear.
And then he turned around and ignored you and
Yeah.
stabbed you in the back.
I won't tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you exactly what I think. If you ask me a question, I'll actually answer it. You may not like the answer,
But you'll
but I
answer
will
it.
answer it. And you'll understand my
Well,
thought
I also
process.
think that, and to be perfectly blunt, and this gets people very angry at me, that we have an establishment. We have a GOP, we have an RNC. They also have a DNC. It works both ways.
Yep.
One is not, better than the other. They both want your money,
Yeah.
and then they sit there in the back room, cigars and bourbon.
Yep.
I don't know what the ladies do, if they're actually even allowed
Oh
there,
no,
but
they drink bourbon too.
they drink bourbon too. Okay.
Lots of brown liquor in DC.
Okay. And they select who you're going to elect. And it's a phrase I use all the time. They select. They also take the money that, we're going to do this for you. We're going to send you this person. They send that person out. They feed you the red meat. They pat you on the back. They blow sunshine up your skirt.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and stab you in the back. They pretend like they never listened to you. They never heard you, that you're so far below them. You're so ignorant that we couldn't, we just have to make all the decisions for you. And meanwhile, the establishment, both sides, has taken your money.
Yeah.
And they take that money, your hard-earned money that you decided between eating out or not eating out, or whether you were going to have a good steak or a so-so steak, a pound steak, and gave it to their selected God.
Yeah.
And you're going to, and that annoys the living bejeebas out of me.
That's
so
what
when I
I
met
hate
you,
more
I
than
was like, fresh a breath,
Well, that's why I hate more than anything. I don't beat around the bush. DC is corrupt. DC is corrupt, and it's not just DC. It goes down, filters down to the states and the cities,
going.
and
Keep
down to the
going.
local governments. We just saw it with the Wyndham incident, with the voting machines and everything. And the fact is, no matter what, there are always going to be people who glom on to power. My issue is stop putting them in office. Stop electing these people. When they tell you this is a viable candidate, go, no, because in 2016, we chose the viable candidate.
Correct.
You had 20 people on stage, and save a few, all of them were politicians, and we chose the guy who is the least politician in the room.
Correct.
Right now, I'm that guy. And I'm that guy because I actually know, like I said, I know what it's like to be poor. When I got off active duty, I was a homeless veteran for a little bit.
Wow.
In 10 years, I went from being homeless, now I'm running for office.
That's a
In this
wonderful-
country, it's not a damn thing you can't do if you have the opportunity.
No.
Now,
If you-
California, there's no opportunity, so I moved back home.
Yep. Now,
I mean, I've been trying to get back home for like ever, but
finally was able to do it. My brother lives in San Diego, and he's working his way out. He said it's impossible. Plus, he lives right there on the border, and he said you can't get into the hospital, you can't get into a doctor's office, you can't get anything done. Everything's being handed to them, and you're just told, dole out the money. The average house is $800,000.
it's ridiculous.
And-
And that's not with a yard either. That's not
No,
with land.
that's like the
So
mobile
that's
home
like
park
your master
land.
bedroom is looking into your neighbor's master bedroom, and you guys can high five.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's obnoxiously coordinated little cookie cutter houses and cul-de-sacs. I'm like, God, this is like Stepford Wives.
Mm-hmm.
It's depressing.
And the other thing is,
And I wanted land because I like shooting and I like
yeah.
blowing stuff up with tannerite, and I like sitting in my backyard and my kids playing and dog
running
around
and being free.
yeah.
Now, you and I met up also again at some school board meetings.
Yes.
And you and I both got the hairy eyeball from the people ensconced on the stage higher than us.
Oh, yes.
In their specialized. So I know you understand body language and people's personalities.
Yeah.
So why have all the school boards adopted this? Here's the 6-foot table, here's the 6-foot table. And they bring as many, even though there may only be 4 people on the school board, we got 15 people up there on that stage, and we got the spit guards up, and we've got the gavel. When on God's green earth did a school board, which is my taxes, your property taxes at 85%,
It's like a
subsidizes them, and they're gaveling you? Shut up, it's your 3 minutes.
know,
Shut
but
up and sit down.
the Russians had something like that. It wasn't called the Politburo. I mean, Politburo, you stand right in front of them and they just,
Yes.
here's where you get your sentencing. Here's your one-way ticket to the gulags.
Yep.
I tried to book a 3-bedroom suite. I wanted to be proactive, but they aren't taking reservations yet. When I went to school board meetings, I see all these parents who are split right down the middle, because especially the Amherst one. You had 2 separate microphones, one for people who are for the mass, one who are for people who aren't for the mass. And you have 2 scientists on one side of the aisle, on the let parents make the choice, not anti-mask, let parents choose.
Correct.
You're the parent, you choose what's best for your child. I thought this was all about, my body, my choice. So I'm completely fine with parents making choice. Your child is not in danger if my child doesn't wear a mask. The mask is to protect you from me. Me wearing a mask only protects me from you.
But wait a minute, don't the
And
masks...
if you're wearing a mask, you're not contaminating me.
Right, but I thought, according to the science and the absolutely brilliant parents out there, that my mask doesn't work unless you wear yours and vice versa.
Apparently.
Because apparently there's some kind of, computerized something in these masks that goes bing, 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 bing. He hasn't got a mask on, yours isn't working.
Yeah. It's got to be some Wonder Twin stuff. I honestly don't get the logic. I honestly don't get the logic behind it, but I would have accepted masks if a medical mask was the bare minimum. A paper medical mask was the bare minimum. Now, granted, I also advise that you wear it properly, that you, every time you touch your face, you discard the mask and you
put a
wash
new
your
one on.
hands, put a new one on, that every time you're done washing your hands, you put on gloves. And when you take off your gloves, you wash your hands again and put on new gloves. And, keep a trash bag full of masks and gloves in your car so that you can keep this up for the foreseeable future.
Correct.
But the issue was that it was cloth masks. And I go, why cloth masks? Why is it just anything that covers my face? That's not consistent.
Correct.
So the paper mask, 60% effective, and then you get the N95s, 95% effective, and you got cloth masks, really, really decorative. Looks really cool.
It's fashion.
Yeah. I'm sorry, some woman pissed me off in a grocery store so I went back out and I grabbed, not that they had a mask mandate, but that she was harassing me. So I went back out and I got a Deadpool mask out of my car. I walked back in with a Deadpool mask on. So this is getting ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting ridiculous. My thing is, I want to be able to make choices for my children. I want people to make choices for themselves.
Correct.
You can decide what's in your best interest. The government does not have to come and pat you on the head and tell you that you're special and that you're a good boy for doing what they tell you to.
And oh, by the way, here's $10.
Yeah. Like, there's no intellectual consistency in any of this. And that is my issue, is if the regulations, if these mandates, if all of this stuff was consistent to where I could track the logic straight down the line, I'd be like, yeah, this seems reasonable. But when it's like, well, you have to wear a mask, but illegal immigrants don't. Or you have to get vaccinated. They don't. You have to get a test no matter where you go. It takes you days to come back in because you got to get a test before you can come back in.
Right.
They can come across the border whenever the hell they want. That type of stuff where I'm like, no. See, we're supposed to have equal protection under the law. There's not supposed to be a double standard.
Correct.
I'm not okay when the left does it. I'm not okay when the right does it.
Nope.
I want pure conservatism, the way it's supposed to be. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with anything else. It is conservation of the Constitution, the Republic, and the inalienable rights of the individual to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, equally applied for everyone.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything else
simple.
is a platform plank.
Yeah.
Social conservatism is how you believe society should operate with each other. Personal conservatism, how you live your personal life.
Keyword
And
being
my home,
believe.
Yeah, how you believe. And
Believe.
if you believe that way, I don't care whether you're uber secular atheist or whether you're the most devout Christian, you go to church 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. That is perfectly fine. But the founding fathers had a catch. They believed that the church had to pick up where government was forbidden from going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we've screwed this up as conservatives, is we are not pounding the pavement. You need to be pounding the pavement, knocking doors, waving signs, donating to a candidate. Yes, you can donate to a candidate. $1 a week would fund New Hampshire's 1st district. Takes 200,000 voters to win. $1 a week would fund any candidate to take out any incumbent or any establishment candidate. $1 a week from all of those 200,000 voters, you'd be able to put anybody in office you want.
Right.
That is how you beat lobbyists. That's how you
Correct.
beat the DC machine.
Because that's what
It's
ultimately
grassroots
we're
pounding
dealing
the
with.
pavement.
Our lobbyists
Yeah.
and big money. They
Every time you
whiz
don't
in every
donate.
time.
Yeah.
The last 4 weeks, and here's $5 million, and here's the pretty postcards, and everybody goes, ooh,
Every time you
isn't
don't
that
donate,
nice?
somebody else comes in to pick up the slack. That person that's donating money, it's just natural for candidates to sit there and go, yes, I want your money. All right, well, I want you to get rid of that position, take this position. Okay, sounds good. Make the check out to this. I refuse to do that. I'm perfectly happy losing this race if it means I get to stay me.
Correct.
And I enjoy flipping the finger to people who try to compromise me.
They don't know what to do with people like that, quite frankly. They don't know what to do with people that are perfectly happy with the truth. They don't know what to do with people that go, I don't need the highest paying job. I need to take care of my kids, my family, and make sure that all is right with me and my family. They don't know what to do with that. And if we would all unite behind that premise.
That's really what it comes down to. Like, we don't have to beat the far, far, far left at being crazy. We don't have to play their game and do what they do. All we have to do is be reasonable. If we stick to our principles, then we are the better party. every time we don't stick to our principles, you watch, it's the old establishment guys that are doing it. It's like,
Correct.
well, we like the Constitution. All right, cool. What about nation building? What about all the corruption that you guys has had in the Afghan war? How come you say nothing about Joe Biden leaving civilians over there? All of this stuff. Why do you say nothing when conservatives are being yanked out of their car while socially distanced with a mask on during a pandemic for praying in a parking lot? That is the exact same Fourth Amendment violation as stop and frisk.
Correct.
See, I'm not
But
cool
it's
with
okay
any of it.
because it's a pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not cool with any of that. You either have rights or you don't have rights. And if you're going to keep allowing government to go, not today, then prepare for it to be, not
Not
ever.
tomorrow. Right.
And that's where we're at right now, is we're 95% of the way there to where the average everyday citizen in this country is going to feel like a second-class citizen
Because
if
they
you
are.
don't already.
Right.
And I still see empty school board meetings. I still see legislation, RSAs, get passed without
Anybody
anyone showing up to fight against it. I can only fight so hard. I can lead the pack. I can take the arrows and the bullets that you can. But you know what? When it really comes down to it, it's going to be boots on the ground in every single town, every single school district, every single town council meeting.
Correct.
Like I said, you got to knock doors, wave signs. You got to be out there, be vocal. Don't be scared to be a conservative. Stand up for what you believe in.
We're gonna do a part 2. So tell everybody while we wrap this up where they can reach you, how they can donate to you and your campaign.
So you can reach me at Julian, that's Julian, the number 4, nh.com. And you can reach me on my cell, 603-327-5567, anytime. I actually pick it up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on Chit Chatting with Jocelyn, and we will see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.